And good afternoon. This is your friendly neighborhood Tironan, and this is the review of the I-220. This is a prototype aircraft, and it never really got beyond a couple of planes. They tried it out, and it performed pretty darn well, but that wasn't the war that the air war that the Russians were fighting on the Eastern Front, or the Great Patriotic War, or World War II as we know it. Most of their battles were taking place at low to medium altitude, and so this became superfluous. And for a nation under siege like the Soviet Union was, and make no mistake, maybe China suffered more during World War II than Russia, maybe. But I would make an argument that no nation suffered more from World War II than Russia. Lost 20 million citizens, lost about a third of the country. Just incredible amounts of stress. It was amazing they survived. And they did. So they didn't have a whole lot of patience with aircraft that they didn't need. I mean, they would take the time to go investigate further aircraft because they wisely saw that as the future. And this was one of the experiments to see what could be done to improve things. And you would see that with all nations, but the advance of the Soviet aviation during World War II, to me, has always been quite fascinating. They would come up with wonderful designs off of engines with fairly limited horsepower, and have very effective fighters with very limited firepower. However, when it comes to firepower on this particular design, as its rendition here in World of Warplanes, its gun armament is pretty good. And when you come up here and you get this upgrade, it becomes great, which is wonderful. The airframe will give you quite a bit of maneuverability upgrade, which you're going to need. Now, as it sits, it is more maneuverable than a P-51 by 1 point. All right, but when you come up to the next upgrade, you're going to see 22 more points, and that puts it up there pretty good. Okay, the survivability is going to be a little lower at 220, and when you get the upgrade of that and the engine, you're talking about 713, I believe, total upgrade. So this is the introduction to the the I-220. And we're going to see how we do with it. And obviously, there's no real history on this aircraft because it didn't actually go to war. And it's kind of nice for a game designer because they don't really have to worry too much about having to stick to the facts and what the aircraft could actually do. They've got more of a blank sheet to play with. So the entire line, as far as high altitude aircraft, fighters with high altitude capabilities, really began and ended with the MiG-3 for most of the war. I understand they later, with some of the variants of the Yaks, had some high altitude fighters. As they moved into Europe, they had a need for it, so I'm sure that's what drove that. I've played this a couple of times. I have not played it very often. We just got this, wanted to see how it would work. It seems competent. It needs more speed, of course. It needs a cannon upgrade, of course. And then you have the Curse of the 20 millimeters, which is the guns overheat, and you're kind of stuck with it. So there we go. All right, so let's take this thing to battle. And we are on the plateau. It's a high altitude map, and it's probably mostly tier 6. Yeah, there's a couple of tier 7s in here. AM7 is going to be low. A Yak 9U. Don't know much about that aircraft yet. We actually would have to look it up, and we'll see how we do with it. Hopefully I won't make a total idiot of myself. I was just finished putting the BF-109G up, and that was one of the rougher aircraft I've ever leveled up for all the wrong reasons. It was just, once you get the aircraft leveled up, it's a great aircraft, but it was a rough row to hoe to get the to get it there, because it didn't turn all that well. It was kind of slow in most of the Tier 7 maps, which I was fighting almost exclusively in, and the firepower is quirky. And we're going to keep right on turning because I have an aircraft on my tail. Okay, and there we are. That was the bad boy that was giving me such a bad time. Okay. Now you notice a very short burst, and that was it. Now that is a P-40, which means it's a Tier 5 aircraft fighting against a Tier 7 fighter. That's not a great indication of firepower, but it gives you some idea of what it's capable of. I want to get over here and help with a capture an air base. And I don't know that we are going to be able to do that. Yeah, the guy's turning off smartly. Once that air base pops, of course, you get your 5 defense fighters. And then the aircraft that also have helped take the air base. And so you go from, you know, a couple aircraft to all of a sudden you got 1 or 2 guys trying to take 8 aircraft. And as you've heard me rant before, that's not a situation that's terribly favorable to you. Maybe you're having an exceptional game and you can pull that off, but I found 95% of the time you against 5 other aircraft, you're going to lose. Okay, we're going to turn around very quickly because I've got this enemy fighter on my tail. And you know, its maneuverability is not bad. I'm really looking forward to the upgrades though. And it's a fairly quick aircraft. Now, you notice I ignored the air defense fighter because what I'm really trying to do here is protect our aircraft and drive them off. And we didn't do it, but it wasn't for lack of trying. Like the firepower on this and use correctly. If you don't get on the trigger too long, really gets the job done. Okay. Now, I'm hoping that my counterpart does his job, because this guy is better at turning than I am. It's an AM-7, by the way. That's a Rapu. That's the most maneuverable aircraft in the game, and that is, just played the game with him. You never ever want to play with an AM-7, A7M. It is as maneuverable as a Zero and much faster. And now I say much faster, it's going to come in about 620 or so kilometers per hour, where you're going to be pushing 670. So what you want to do is boom and zoom with this guy. And unfortunately, I let myself get drawn into a turning match with him. And I want this base. And we're down 3-1, so we really want this base. The boost on The 220 is not very good. Okay, we've got that. Now we're going to have to worry about getting another cap. And we're going to have to worry about defending this one. I'm sorry, there's an 8-second boost on this. Just me being heavy fingered on the boost button. Add my bit of damage to it. Okay, got that done. Have another fighter coming in, and I really do not want to lose this base. And we have yet more aircraft behind us, and you don't want to ignore that. That's a Mosquito. And it's got a lot of firepower to it, and it's fast. And left alone, he will destroy our teammate. But not today, or at least not that particular instance. Now, rather than hang around close with this guy, I want to get a bit of distance. I have cannon armament, and he has machine guns. And you notice the very first thing he does is try to close the distance with me and expose all his defensive armament so they can shoot at me. But I have 420mm cannon, and that's a deal I'll take all day long. Okay. Especially when I'm sitting over a repair site. He still got me pretty good. Without that first couple of passes where I hit him before he could do anything about it, he might very well have killed me. But that's in the past. And now we're going to get up to speed and see if we can help hold the center section. And what I'm doing right now is just making sure I have a good tag on where everybody's at. There's our buddy Landry again in his XP50. And I have some boost. And he doesn't have an aircraft anymore. Okay, there's your AM7. We made that mistake before. I am not willing to get involved in a turning contest with him again. As you see, I simply outran him. Has many strengths, but being fast is not one of them. Not with that A7M. I keep calling it the AM7. So you got good firepower, good speed, good altitude. And this is at a tier 6 map, basically. So it's very forgiving. On the Alpine maps where you run across primarily 7s and the occasional 8, this is not going to do nearly as well. Why? Because I've had it up there. Okay, we're going to level back off just to go to a nice climbing altitude for a while, because I've got to get a lot closer to be able to take on this aircraft. And I have an aircraft coming in. Making use of my radar here. I've got some boost. And we get defeated. Couldn't take enough caps. All right, but that gives you a very good idea of what this aircraft is capable of. Well played. It's a great aircraft. You've seen a demonstration of what happens when you get into a turning circle with a A7M Rapue. Don't do it. Don't be an idiot like I was. Please. It's a very tough aircraft in a turning circle, but you can easily rake it, as I did in the second example, and simply zoom out of the way. And you do not have to play the turning turning circle game with the turning fighter. You're going to lose that, right? Then there's a couple to watch out for. All right, so we shot down 4 aircraft, assisted with 5, 9 aircraft killed, essentially. Team score came in mediocre. Bottom 40 percentile. Okay, so there we are. The aircraft to watch out for in turning circles. You don't want the Rapue. You don't want to get near it. The KI-84 is going to outturn you. The A7M. And you'll look at these maneuverability scores. This is the reason why you're giving up 200 points to these guys. In this case, 300 something points. Spitfire. They're just aircraft that you don't want to get involved in turning circles. Don't have to. As I showed you, it's very easy to tear them up, zoom right on past, leave them wanting for more, and get yourself some distance, then make your turn, come on back around, and you win. All right. Listen, I do appreciate you spending some time with me today. Wanted to thank you very much for watching. Please like the video if you do like it, and please subscribe. I need subscribers so badly. I am a new provider, and I am in desperate need of subscribers. So thank you very much for your time. You have a great day. Bye-bye.